Ethiopia's year-long conflict over the Tigray region is reverberating as far as Washington, where demonstrators gathered Thursday near the U.S. Capitol to denounce what they called a genocide by the Ethiopian government and a lack of action by the United States and the United Nations to stop the fighting. Also in Washington, representatives of 9 Ethiopian rebel and opposition groups held a signing ceremony to announce they are joining forces to replace the Abiy government. For his part, Abiy says his government will prevail and has called on residents of Addis Ababa to take up arms if necessary to defend their neighborhoods. U.S. Special Envoy Jeffrey Feltman, who is in the Ethiopian capital, faces a difficult mission. Ahmed Solomon of Chatham House told VOA.
But as I understand it, he's partly there at the invitation of the Ethiopian government. So there could perhaps be an opening. There could perhaps be a scenario where there are discussions about, the possibility of a ceasefire, the possibility of finding a way through the country's challenges that doesn't involve the conflict spiraling and worsening as it has been doing.
The U.S. is calling on all the parties to negotiate a ceasefire and allow humanitarian assistance to reach the Ethiopian people. Former Ambassador Makila James spoke with VOA.
The U.S. has always been a friend of the Ethiopian people and has been a real supporter of Prime Minister Abiy. What we're seeing now threatens to undermine all of the progress and the promise of what Prime Minister Abiy came into office to do. And so we hope that this will not be squandered, will not be wasted, and that we can see ourselves all returning to a place where Ethiopia can be an exporter of peace in the region, exporter of development.
The U.S. is working with the African Union, regional allies, and the United Nations to try to create the right conditions for a ceasefire, as James explains.
So I would say that the collective approach is raising the diplomatic stakes, putting more pressure on the government, giving incentives for the parties to all come to the table, and talking across the board. This is not just a one-sided conversation. It's talking to the TPLF, talking to the Eritreans, talking to the neighbors, talking to the government of Prime Minister Abiy.
The UN Security Council is set to hold a meeting on the crisis in Ethiopia on Monday. Cindy Saine, VOA News.